I'm sorry, ma'am. Didn't mean to make you uncomfortable.
I didn't say you made me uncomfortable. I said the question was personal.
Sorry.
You should bathe more often. Your fingernails are filthy.
Hi, Sarah. It's Melikşah from Istanbul, Turkey. And I'm a huge fan of yours.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to hear
it. Mildred Ratched is really unique character. She's mostly dark, but also she has some light tones in herself. And even for a really, really good actress, she's really hard to handle, I think. So how was your journey to become her, and what was your method to not go insane while acting?
Well, I tried to take each scene one moment at a time, because I think if I tried to bite off the whole thing, I just would have never been able to put one foot in front of the other, and I probably wouldn't have been able to even try at all. I think the whole thing was an enormous challenge. You know, she's a very complicated character, as you say, and also she is a character that a lot of audiences have a belief system already in place about from Cuckoo's Nest, and so that was a challenge too, to think about how to make sure that I was able to make the character my own, but also honoring what had come before me, and so that felt like an enormous responsibility. And the only way I just thought, was able to not go insane was to drink very heavily. Just kidding. I didn't do that. I didn't.
And she's also a woman who has been the subject of patriarchal exploitation, and sexually violated and bullied. In time, Mildred discovers the power of sticking together with other women around her and grows stronger. In Turkey, we still wake up every day to more and more femicide news, and it's not different elsewhere. Therefore, I want to ask if Mildred had lived today, how would she fight with this oppression, cruelty, and unjust?
That's a really good question, because I do think I agree with everything you said about what she's contending with. She is a victim of a patriarchal infrastructure that she isn't even aware is fully happening. And when she is aware of it, she does what she can to the best of her ability. But at the end of the day, she is really trying to do one thing, and that is to be reunited with the most important person in her life, and to absolve herself of the guilt that she feels for having abandoned him when she was a child. So she is motivated by something pure that makes it possible for her to do things that are questionable. So I wonder if today, if the circumstances were the same and she was fighting for that reunion to heal herself, there's probably nothing she wouldn't do to ensure that that happens. But I don't know that Mildred is a person who would become any kind of social justice activist. She might do it by the way she chooses to live her life, but I'm not sure if being a public face for any particular fight would be something she would be capable of. I don't really know. I think it's a very interesting question. What if Mildred Ratched were alive today? What and how she would be and what she would do is a very interesting thing to ponder. I don't know that I have an answer, because she's a victim of all that you say, that I don't know how developed she would be to advocate for herself in any other kind of way. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, beside those other Ryan Murphy shows, what was the main difference in Ratched for you, and what was the hardest scene that you played in Ratched?
What was different for me is that I'd never played a titular character before. I'd never been the title role, and that felt like an enormous responsibility. And also, the fact that I was taking on a character that is beloved by audiences in the sense that they love to hate her. So that was really challenging. But Ryan presented me with an opportunity to be an executive producer as well, to empower me to have real agency on the set, and to be able to speak my mind and to be able to make my points. He didn't always agree with me. I didn't always get my way, but that was also important for me to experience too. So it was all an all-encompassing experience, and one that I felt very fortified by and very empowered by. In terms of the most impossible scene to shoot, God, all of it was so hard. All of it was hard because as you say, there's a very fine line that she's walking. She's really walking a tightrope, and there are moments where she's soft and there's moments where she's hard, and she herself is becoming. She doesn't know who she is yet. She's a developing person. And so all of it was a very, very challenging thing to figure out how to calibrate a person on the road to something as opposed to a person who had arrived somewhere, you know. So it was all really, really challenging.
Thank you so much. That's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Do you wanna have fun? How about a few?
Hi, I'm Melikşah from Turkey. I'm so excited because I'm a huge fan of yours, like nearly everyone in Turkey, actually. Okay, I'm asking my first question. Your role, Leonor Osgood, is the most eccentric character in the show, I think. What kind of an experience was playing that grotesque part of this show?
Well, you know, I like to play the eccentric characters.
Yes.
There's just something wonderful about playing the character that is such a loose screw, like somebody who's so crazy. He told me that this is the character that has no rules, the character that can do anything. And I think that that's really the most wonderful aspect of playing a character like this, is that you can do anything you want. You can just drive the scene with this kind of unpredictability, which I think is really great. And I think it gives a lot of spice to a show when you have a character that you never know what they're going to do.
Yes, true. In your character was like actually coming from 1940s film noirs to me. I think if Betty Davis lived today, she would be really jealous of you, I think.
I don't think that there could be a bigger compliment that I could ever
Wow.
had great honor of working with the photographer Victor Skrebneski. And he offered me, he did my portrait and he offered me another portrait, and I took Betty Davis because I think she's so great. So I have in my house at one point Betty Davis on one wall and his portrait he did of me on the other wall. And I keep hoping that there'll be some osmosis happening.
Yeah, I was asking that have you got anyone you inspire in that role?
Well, I think Betty Davis is pretty much the one. I mean, I also was a very big fan of Barbara Stanwyck. I think that she had this kind of complexity in her work in those periods that was very interesting, because she could go from comedy to extreme to a horror genre and still maintain her believability and her investment in the parts. I thought she was just such a versatile actress, such a wonderful actress.
It's true. And Ratched is a show about women streaking together, grow stronger against men who abuse their power. It's not that black and white, obviously, but that part of the show was really strong. Most of women in Turkey, in US, still are struggling about that issue, actually. What would you like to say about that side of your show to your Turkish audience?
I think that we're in a time when feminine power is really very important, because women make choices that protect the future, because we make choices that protect our children. And I think now is a time for women to make really strong, independent choices that are kind and choices that reflect common sense and good choices for their children. And if we all do that, we'll probably make it out of this time alive.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much, Sarah. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Love to Turkey.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Who are you?
Hi, Cynthia. I'm Melikşah from Turkey.
Hello.
How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Thank you. Ratched is another really well-written show by Ryan Murphy. But beside that, what was your main reason to take the role in the show? What attracted you the most?
Well, I really was excited about the idea of working with Ryan Murphy, and Sarah Paulson and I have been friends for quite some time. So that was really a wonderful prospect for me to act with her. I thought the character was fascinating and different than anything I've ever played, but also the amazing array of actors, from Judy Davis to Sophie Okonedo to Sharon Stone and on. Just, you know, my cup runneth over when I heard all the people who were going to be in it.
Mm-hmm. And your character is dealing with mobbing, sexual harassment, and homophobia, and some other violent things and acts in the show. And nowadays, women are still struggling with all these things, unfortunately. And I want to ask that if Gwendolyn lived today, how would she fight with this oppression, cruelty, and unjust?
I mean, I think Gwendolyn is an amazing pioneer in terms of her sexuality, but also in terms of her political ambition. I think she would be amazed to see the world that we are living in now. I think she would be very relieved and gratified. But I think she would go very far. I think she would be successful in our world today. But I think she would learn very quickly that still to be a woman in politics is still very challenging because of one's gender.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. In whole Ratched experience, which scene was the hardest for you, and which one made your day?
Which one made my day? You know, we have a scene near the end when Sarah Paulson and I kind of have a knockdown, drag out fight about our relationship and what's going to happen with it. I think that was difficult, but also wonderful. And I guess I don't want to give too much away, but I guess some of the very last scenes in the last episode made my day because they were just so delightful.
Mm-hmm. And can you give your Turkish audience a reason for watching your show? Turkish LGBT community, can you say something to them? Because
Sure.
most of them are your biggest fans.
I would say I would encourage you to watch Ratched. I think it's fascinating. I think it's a fascinating look at post-war America. It's a fascinating look at all the terrible ways in which we try to deal with mental illness. If you're a fan of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, it's a very interesting prequel. But I think for LGBTQ people in particular, one of the great things that Ryan Murphy does is he looks back at historical periods and he sees how people of color and LGBTQ people have been erased. And he goes back and puts us back in. And I think that's really overdue, and I wish more people would do it, but it also makes for a very fascinating and enjoyable series.
Thank you so much. Thank you for everything.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
I should have never let you into this hospital.
Hi, I'm Melikşah from Turkey.
Hi.
And how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Thank you. You're playing Charlotte Wells, who has been diagnosed with multiple personality disorder. And in history of cinema and television, that illness mostly reflected via overacting, I think. And unlikely, your performance was golden for me. It was so strong. Yes, she's on the edge, but also she's so believable, and her story touches our hearts. So what kind of preparation did you do before this set for the role?
Well, you know, a lot of it, luckily, the script was so strong that Charlotte was, and all her many colors, was very much on the page. So what I did is I tried not to think of them all being Charlotte. I kind of made separate characters, very full. So, you know, Apollo had a real life, and Ondine had a real life, you know, beyond. And so I tried not to, you know, because Charlotte herself can't remember in between what happens. So it's better that I fully play those characters, each one. And that's how I approached it, really. So I had quite a lot of work to do.
And also your character plays a key role in the show. And in every episode, she grows and grows. And what was the hardest scene for you along the whole show?
I think that, well, not that, I mean, it was not that, it was hard as in it was challenging, but it was also really exciting. But the very first scene with Dr. Hanover, when I have to switch so many times, and that scene was also really long. It was like 5 pages long, or 4 pages. It went on for a long time. And I don't know how it is because I haven't seen it, so I don't know how it's been edited. But it was really challenging, and it was a bit like doing a play, you know, because once they go action, you know you're going to be speaking for the next 10 minutes, you know. So it wasn't like a short little scene, and that was the most challenging and frightening, but the most satisfying. I was really happy we did that right at the beginning. So because then it set the pace for how I was going to carry on with the show, you know. I sort of, I don't know what the word is, but laid my mark. So, and then I could just.
Yes, that scene was so strong.
Oh,
yeah, it was really good. Can you give a reason for your potential Turkish viewers for watching the show?
I think it's just a really wild, unique, magical ride. I don't think there's anything like it on television, or has been. And also you've just got a collection of really all completely different, unique female characters that are kind of leading the show. And there's so many different if you've got one of those characters, you'd be quite happy, but to have so many of them, I think it's going to be really, it's just hugely entertaining, I think, above all else. Which, I mean, I like to watch things that are entertaining. So, you know, with the message and all that, but to be entertained is what I enjoy watching.
And lastly, what can you say about that ensemble cast? You played with really talented, wonderful actresses.
Oh, yeah.
Actors.
That was when I met Ryan. He gave me the list of the people that I would be working with, and I was like, oh my goodness, I don't even need to read a script. I would just turn up and give the tea. It was really fantastic group of women who are all in their own rights just complete stars, and to get us all together and actually have something good to do. Every day was just amazing. And nobody really went to their trailers. We all just sat around the side of the stage waiting to go. And it was a bit like doing a play, actually. The whole thing was set up a bit like doing theatre, where it's a much more kind of equal kind of society. It's not like in films where the star is up there and then everybody else is over there. Whereas the way it is with Ryan's sets is everybody's together. You know, it's a very ensemble. It felt like being in a part of a company in the theatre. So this is really good. It suited me because I'm a theatre person.
Yeah, I know that. Thank you so much. It was really good. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.